that's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. You know I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
Greetings, and welcome to Context Matters. The date is the 8th of January, 2026. Happy New Year's. If I have not told you, Happy New Year's already. If you are joining on Reggae Global Radio, big up to you. If you are joining from YouTube, blessings. And naturally, if you're from TikTok, you know how it is. Tap up the screen and share the live. Send me gifts to see my reaction. It's telling you what the eyes for. What's happening? I don't understand. What is that for? Anyway, special shout outs to Walking in Divine Purpose, my moderator on YouTube. Good to see you are back, and Happy New Year to you. Good evening, everyone, says Mazreen Harvey. Ivy Morgan, bless up to you. Sharon Clark, Joy Marshall, Lek Butler. Boy, man, it make me cuss, you know. Janet Chikori, greetings to you and bless up. Greetings, Merlin McCoy. Blessings to you all, and sent best forever. I see you. K-Sue, 8141, blessings to you. Realtor 26, big up yourself. D Marie, blessings to you. And if you're on TikTok, you know, big up to everybody. Queen Murdoch, Happy New Year to you as well. Now, topic of today, I'm just gonna speak on it. It's two things: sovereignty. Very important. So the Maroons had their 288-year celebration, a compound. Chief Curry invited everybody. The government of Jamaica was present. The Prime Minister, the Minister of Culture, Education Minister, Energy Minister. Many persons were there. All of that is important. So bad Taliban, who is not that's not the name, because bad Taliban wouldn't be on the ID, is asking when is he going to get the money that he signed up from the Solidarity Program. That's a good question. The Minister of Labor and Social Security, the most Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., is the best person to answer that. So when you come on Context Matters and ask me when you're going to get the money that government is supposed to give you, the best answer comes from the government minister. Somebody says the live are stuck. Thanks for that. Let me try to use the live without the Wi-Fi. Is that happening on YouTube as well? Are you hearing me good on YouTube? Just let me get that clear before I proceed. Big respect, Easton Condell. I see you. Yeah, so hopefully the live pulls through. Yes, so people said they're hearing me good. So I have to work with what we work with as best as we can. Yeah, and so the conversation all the time when it comes to the Maroons is the 1738 treaty. I'm going to use this forum to go in depth. And thank you, walking in, and Joy Marshall, big up. Yeah, but the 1738 treaty was a treaty between the Maroons, Kojo in particular, and the British. As you know, Jamaica is a island that falls under the Commonwealth, but we were subjects of the Queen at the time. The interesting thing about it is the United Kingdom and United Nations, the U.S. Congress recognize the Maroons and the conversations about the indigenous identity and the benefits that comes with it is of utmost importance. So the issue always comes up about sovereignty, and yes, no court in Jamaica has ruled on it, but it has gone before the court before, and procedurally it was struck out. The claim was struck out, but the issue was more about land. So naturally, what people, the big question that people want: what is the interests of the Maroons? Why is it so important, and why all of a sudden everybody is speaking about it? Well, the short or the simple reality is this: the resources in the cockpit country is what a part of Jamaica's wealth in its entirety. I'm gonna have to take this. Hello? Doing my context matters. Go ahead. Go ahead. It what? Yes. Okay, that would be Reka fee and stuff, but I'm still going to call you back because I live and No, it would be because you'd have to pay the fee. No, that's the rule. That's the rule, and you can take it. You can get it back when you sue. But I can't continue the conversation beyond that. All right. Yes, my apology. It was a legal emergency. Yes. So the conversation about resources and all of that. So fine. What we must speak about, though, however, is responses. So Chief Richard Curry is the chief of the Accompong Maroons, along with the Maroon Council. They're here in Jamaica. Jamaica land we love. They are Jamaicans. They are Maroons. There's no issue where that is concerned. Let's talk about responses and the 261 houses that's damaged in Accompong, as well as Mary Mollison. I hear, wow. Let's talk about the reaction. So St. Elizabeth, South St. Elizabeth, devastated by Hurricane Melissa. And as you know, scarce resources, Jamaica is a third world country. If you don't believe me, Caribbean countries tried and tested on the 3rd of January. Don't need to ventilate that beyond saying that we can speak about the United Nations, and I'll bring you up to speed where that is concerned. But there's a question as whether Caribbean countries as third world countries, smaller nations, have any talk, any impact, any power on the world stage. Certainly Mia Mottley, the Honorable Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, makes us feel like we have a place in this world in terms of speaking up. In the past, Michael Manley, our past leaders would have made contributions similar to that of Ralph Gonzalez, who lost, and one wonders who are the guardians of the Caribbean. It's like how you have the guardians of the Constitution who are judges. Who are the guardians of the Caribbean? Who are the voices of the Caribbean? This is important to assess, because here we are in Jamaica and many things are happening and we have a lot of powerful people in Jamaica. The government in and of itself is powerful, special people. So special that if you touch a government official, well, unless, yeah, the law says if you touch a government official or if you murder a government official, you're subject to capital punishment. It's capital murder. This is a reality because politicians are a different category of people in any country, and government officials have diplomatic powers. I won't say diplomatic immunity because somebody can call Maduro, if you know Spanish, and ask him how's he feeling right now. Similar to, you can ask Noriega, you can ask President of Honduras, you can ask Saddam Hussein, you can ask all kind of people in terms of sovereignty tested, sovereignty destroyed, sovereignty ignored, and what the people feel like when we speak about democracy, what democracy looks like, what are we supposed to be saying about that. So the starting point then would be to have a look at sovereignty. So let's just put it into context. Sovereignty is the supreme independent authority a state or people have over their own territory. People and laws, meaning they are self-governing without external control. But this concept faces challenges from globalization and human rights, leading to debates on its limitations and application in modern international relations. It's the ultimate power to rule, make laws, and maintain order, historically residing with monarchs, but now often seen as residing with the people through their government. Through their government, it's about the democratic process. So you look and you ask yourself, what are the key blessings, everybody? You're looking at the key aspects. So the internal authority, so the government's ultimate power to govern its own citizens and territories and apply laws to everyone within its borders. And the external autonomy, a state's independence from outside interference in its internal affairs, promoting equality among nations in international law. Self-determination, which is the right of a people to choose their own political status and form of government. That's the democratic aspect of it. Variations, it can be absolute, like a federal government power, or divided, like power shared between federal, state, and local governments, or between a state and its indigenous tribes. So when I say that the Maroon recognized all across the world for their indigenous status, and UNESCO gives funding in recognition of that. The United States Congress recognizes this indigenous status. Naturally, one would think that with Nani being a national hero, there is some recognition of the significant contributions coming from the Maroons. The 1738 treaty speaks of the self-determination, the indigenous status, the agreement to share the space without interference, and in fact call for assistance, which the Maroons get cursed today, that them sell out the other slaves and was returning slaves to the British. And you can get to all of that, but what is clear is that the conversation about sovereignty and self-determination is a live one. Why am I speaking of that? Well, imagine the elections in a compound, the state of a compound, whether recognized or not. is one recognized, the electoral process is recognized by the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, and their elections are run by the EOJ. So nominations and everything is over. They oversee such elections similar to our elections by the EOJ. So it's an official election where when that person is put into power through the democratic process, it has to be respected. So of course there's a call on the international community to respect the democratic process after an election has been had. And look at the irony. There is a politician who wears my name as in has a similar last name as me, Paul Buchanan, and he contested his election against the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, and he filed for judicial review. He made several complaints, and the matter is under appeal right now. So let me not breach the sub judice rule, but to say that the judgment of the court says that Mr. Buchanan was out of time in his filing and his complaint, and therefore his claim was his permission for judicial review was not granted, and it's currently under appeal. But in that, there were some allegations that the fairness of the democratic process was tampered with, and therefore the outcome was not a just one, and it was not fair, and there were many umpy-scumpy allegations. And the call to respect the democratic process is that there is respect. They're saying that the outcome was a fair election, and the persons who were elected officials, it was certified, and the parties were sworn in. I mean, even as a member of parliament, I would from time to time look across the internet and see how the vitriol spewed at persons in Portland, citizens of Portland, citizens of Jamaica who exercise their right to vote and choose me as the elected official, and they were deemed to be ungrateful. There were prayers for Melissa to come and destroy Portland, but who God bless, no man curse. And I am of the position that Portland Eastern got it right. And again, the democratic process has to be respected. Well, so it is then that when there's external interference, one has to call for intervention if the United Nations and the Security Council and all the things that were set up before most of us were born or were just mere children after World War II, to prevent destruction, to prevent war, to prevent the displacement of democracy. So, of course, we accept that there are modern challenges. International norms on human rights can limit a state's absolute authority, as seen with interventions for genocide or ethnic cleansing. In Jamaica, and I'm going to speak about it, but I'm positing that there is an ethnic cleansing taking place. They have identified a race of people that the police has decided that they need to exterminate. It's genocide. However you want to class it, ghetto youth is now a race that's being exterminated in Jamaica. And when you go across the internet, it appears that there are people satisfied. When you say, well done, good job, JCF, for killing, murdering a son of Jamaica, one cannot think of anything but to say that persons are okay with the extermination and genocide or ethnic cleansing. So it's the modern challenges that we are addressing now. It cannot be seen as anything other than an ethnic cleansing. And you see, because in Jamaica you can't say Black Lives Matters. And if you get up and you say Ghetto Youth Life Matters, they're going to respond and say, yeah, only in dancehall. Because they have put a place for you. Because there are two Jamaicas that exist. And so that classes, genocide, ethnic cleansing, and the ethnicity we are referring to is the genetic transference of the ghetto experience to persons, and even the respect that comes with it. I'm the son of a ghetto man, big youth in all his glory, who escaped poverty through dancehall, reggae music. First Toastmaster, one of the many Toastmasters. Red, Gold, and Green Teeth. Shows in Madison Square Garden and all of that. You name it. 7 number ones in the 70s. All of this is important because the genetic transference of the experience is like people saying, know your roots and know where you're coming from. And nobody, you know, in the modern times, people try to forget. So poor people get a little money and they suddenly become the creme de la creme. But they're just Animal Farm characters, because money don't give you class. Money might give you some kind of status. It's the money status. But all money does at the end of the day, when they cut you down to size, is prove that when you get a lot of money, all you do with it is buy a whole lot of baby oil so 50 Cent can troll you and remind you who you are. But anyway, I ain't taking shots at nobody. So that's just one aspect of it, and I'll expand it. And if I fail to expand it, somebody in the comment can remind me if I don't touch on it, to expand that thought and idea. And there's globalization, and you will see it because there are presidents and powerful nations that put out sanctions and threats to cancel visas and punish citizens of a nation. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. Actually, Amnesty International, when they made an attack on the extrajudicial killings and the death squads that were once upon a time in Jamaica, and they have them now, clearly. Evidence is the high amount of murders by police in 2025, a 65% uptick, 311 people murdered. So you have economic integration, and multinational corporations can constrain on a state's economic policy and choices. Then you have the supranational institutions. Organizations like the UN can influence, or in some cases override, state sovereignty to maintain peace and address global issues. Anybody want to know what that look like? COVID and vaccination, and who would have done. That's the World Health Organization. So yeah, we have a good idea of what self-determination and the things that can affect sovereignty. But the idea of sovereignty is that it brings about what is known as equality of nations. So when you're small like Jamaica, you will little but with tolerance, and we go on the world stage, and we have leaders like, again, the Honorable Mia Motley, that when she speaks, the earth trembles, and her freedom of expression is noted. And if you go back to the tapes and you hear when Michael Manley, the Honorable Michael Manley, most Honorable Michael Manley, may his soul rest in peace, spoke about apartheid and is responsible, gone down in history. Little Jamaica was responsible for the ending of apartheid in South Africa, and why there is a free Mandela, and Mandela now became the president of South Africa. These things are important. And I'm not limiting because the Honorable PJ Patterson, the same. Even this week, the former Prime Minister, the Honorable Bruce Golding, he spoke out against the actions of Donald Trump, and I see him chided in the social media space saying you're just a retired prime minister and you should shut up. But one must be able to have conversations, voice your opinion without fear of persecution. After all, slavery was abolished, and certainly black people are always told, move on and forget about that bad, awful experience and get over it. These things are important, but it's significant for persons to look and have the conversations about where we are now as a society. Very, very important. So when we think of it, we pause and say, but where are we in life as it is, right? Now, the next thing that I think I want to have a conversation about is, and I had it here. Hold on. Yeah. So the conversation as it is about what the reality of sovereignty means for a Caribbean nation. This is somebody say, remember, don't drink them water. Only drink pure water. Don't worry yourself. So that conversation is a conversation that has to be had because it's significant in many instances, because we don't ever want to not understand that people simply can't come to terms with the reality that I hear in myself. Yeah. Oh yeah. So people can't come to the terms with the reality. So here's what happened. In the past, we would have had interventions by first world country. I think that when in 1989, the United States went for Noriega for drug trafficking charges, and he was extradited to the United States and stood trial and convicted. It left the Bahamas in a very bad place because they were always on, when it was the war against drugs, they were always on the watch list. What we know, though, is that the United Nations spoke out heavily against it because there are only certain circumstances that a nation can intervene in the internal affairs of a sovereign nation. And usually, self-defense is one of them. So the UN Council speaks about self-defense and anticipatory self-defense. This is now public international law. So when there are human rights violations, naturally any country can intervene. What's happening in Haiti, Jamaica, led by Andrew Holness, gave intervention. Kenya, I think, also assisted, and the United States. But persons knew that Haiti's democracy was in question, and they needed intervention, and because of the severe human rights violations. But so Iris Smith spoke about Grenada, Bishop, and others, but in Grenada, Maurice Bishop was murdered, you know. And if you know anything about what happened as he then was, Ewart Lane and others, the general, a 24-year-old at the time, was a general, and Maurice Bishop was about 35. This is a man that turned around his country and was being accused. Maurice Bishop was being accused of being a communist, and because he turned around the education system in his Caribbean island. That's Grenada. And now you fly into Grenada to the Maurice Bishop Airport, which is what he had envisioned for his country. So his vision came to light, and the people of Grenada, educated, brilliant, beautiful people, from the vision of a young man with all the prospects for national identity, Black Afro identity, and appreciating that we as Black people, although Caribbeans and sons and daughters of the slave experience, we could rise above and claim our independent self-determination and national identity that would allow us to compete on the world stage and speak up against that which was not morally correct, or that would put us as Caribbean people at a disadvantage. And so we can't compete against first world countries, you know. And so it was important. The sad thing about it is that the people, through the democratic process, loved Maurice Bishop, and he was put in front of a firing squad and murdered. The convictions of the United States intervened along with other countries in the surrounding areas, and they assisted the United States and they invade Grenada. But after democracy was overthrown by the military, and Ewart Lane was ultimately convicted. It was a seminal case. Ewart Lane spent about 25 years in prison, 2 years short of the Mandela experience of his 27 years. But he was a young man, 24, quite young, and one wonders the extraordinary powers given to such young people to lead an army at 24, and had younger persons in that army, 22, 21, 18, just young, and had extraordinary powers similar to what's happening now with our police force. I want people to appreciate this, that when with much power given, great responsibility comes with it. Compassion, empathy, and respect for human rights. Respect for human rights, including the right to life, including due process, yes, including respecting the presumption of innocence. All of these things come when persons are put into authority. And Ewart Lane was ultimately, along with I think it was a Grenada 18. They were all convicted of murder and sentenced to death, and then the change in law commuted their sentences and they came out. During that time, Ewart Lane, their prison system is not like Jamaica. So he was able in Grenada, as I said, Maurice Bishop, the irony is that the education system was so prospective, efficient, effective, that even if you went to prison, you had the opportunity to, as a part of rehabilitation, become educated. And Ewart Lane, he trained and practiced and passed his LLB whilst in prison, and he was prepared to become a lawyer, and he got his he did the aspect of it, the education part, and when it was time for him to be called to the bar to get a good character certificate, the court of appeal in Grenada turned it down, and the Privy Council agreed. The seminal case did say, though, good character is, as of now, there's no issue where that is concerned, and made distinctions between mala prohibita, which is crimes of of prohibition, versus malanoncé, which is crimes of moral turpitude, and murder falls into that. The question as to whether when one commits murder, they can be rehabilitated and put in a position to move on with their lives is something up there. Who in Jamaica is said to be behind Bishop dead? What? I don't even know where that came from. So anyway, I said all of that to speak about what it is to allow due process to take its course. And if the JCF believes in the justice system, then murdering citizens cannot and will not ever be a response to a criminal justice system that wants to reduce crime. And crime includes murder. A reduction in murder is not evidence of a reduction in crime. We want our citizens to be productive. We want our citizens to understand and appreciate that as the gems of the Caribbean, as special, extraordinary individuals. Jamaicans, Caribbean people, if you don't know, extraordinary, genetically superior to many. And people won't like it, but listen, I'm a Jamaican. Of course I'm gifted, of course I'm blessed in many ways, physically, mentally, spiritually. That is something that is placed in you by God that no one can take from you, even if they murder you. And when they murder you, they can leave PR behind and says no angels were murdered. But it doesn't mean that you must murder devils or murder anybody. Murder in if we had an eye for eye, murder is wrong. And whilst I'm talking about murder, I want people to appreciate something. They Somebody will say, why you keep saying murder? Well, when somebody dies, if it's not of natural causes and people are involved, it's murder. And when it's murder, what comes with it is self-defense is a complete defense to murder. So if you go around murdering people, you should be charged and let a court decide by whether it be a jury or a trial by judge alone and Justice Sykes, our most erudite judge in our Chief Justice, is saying that we should move to trial by judge alone. But questions as to whether or not that is a viable situation will always remain up in the air because, again, we are now seeing that the police agrees that the genocide, the cleansing of Jamaica means that if you kill all the ghetto youths and say they all had a gun, you get away with it because people are tired of the non-progressive Negro man, ghetto boy, Jamaican that possibly is a menace to society. Yes? And no, when I said menace to society, I'm not quoting Vibes Cartel. So don't come for me. They like to come for me, you know. So I'm just putting that out there. All right. The case in point, RV Clegg. Let me just give you some background. And I haven't lost my way, I promise you. I'm just showing you something about everything. All right, so the appellant was a soldier on patrol in Northern Ireland, and he encountered a speeding stolen car during their mission to apprehend joyriders. The soldier fired 3 shots at the car's windscreen in what they claim was self-defense or defense of a colleague. Subsequently, a 4th shot was fired after the car had passed, fatally injuring one of the passengers. The appellant faced a murder charge. The trial judge in a non-jury trial, see I've said this, in a Justice Sykes trial, accepted the defense's argument regarding the first 3 shots, but concluded that the 4th shot had been a deliberate and aimed act with the intent to cause death or serious harm. Since the danger had dissipated when the car moved away, the judge convicted the appellant of murder. So the Court of Appeal in Northern Ireland upheld the conviction, citing the excessive and disproportionate use of force in the shot that caused the passenger's death. They certified a crucial legal question for consideration: whether a soldier on duty possessing the intent for murder but claiming self-defense, albeit with excessive force, should be charged with murder or manslaughter. The appellant subsequently appealed to the High Court, and the question was ultimately answered. The appeal was dismissed, and it says, in a case where an individual employs a level of force in self-defense that exceed what is warranted by the circumstances, they are to be held accountable for murder. You hear that? So don't think so because you have on your police uniform or your soldier uniform, you're excluded from murder. There exists no differentiation between the application of excessive force in self-defense and the application of excessive force in the prevention of a crime or in the apprehension of an offender. And let me repeat that again. There is no difference between the application of excessive force in self-defense and the application of excessive force in the prevention of a crime or in the apprehension of the offender. The fact that the person employing such a force is a soldier or a police officer acting within the scope of their duty does not alter this principle. So here's the thing now. Remember, it is incumbent on, in this country, where a person is accused of a charge, the police, well, unless you're a very important person, the police come and all them have to do, just try it if you don't believe me. Just go, no, me never want you to do that because me no want nobody call me and say I me did say that. The man said, listen, if you go to the police station and you simply say, yes, the man just point a gun upon me, me see the gun and me know the gun officer, they go and lock up the person and then they put you before the court and the judge have to make the assessment. So it is that for all these people murdered, the police officers are to be put before a court and have the people and the judge make the assessment as to whether their conduct was excessive. And bear in mind, and I mean, I will raise it in Parliament. I will raise it to INNICOM, remind persons that the House of Lords, which is the Privy Council, highest court in the land in the UK, right, would have made the point, right, that there exists no difference between the application of excessive force in self-defense and the application of excessive force in the prevention of a crime. What is significant is, or in the apprehension of an offender. So when the police goes out with their death squad or to do what they are doing, to say that they're going to apprehend persons on their wanted list, it is not enough to say, oh, we came and they put their hands, we get a shootout and we found one gun after a massive shootout, and when the crime scene, what they call it now, the CFCD come and the report come out, you hear that the only shots on the ground is the police, but them find an old rusty gun, which I'm not casting any aspersions, but I'm saying in the absence of body cams and in the absence of an investigation that is not biased against the genocide or the ethnic cleansing of ghetto youths, it's murder. And until, as I always say, it ain't over until the Privy Council, or in most cases, the Court of Appeal led by Justice McDonald Bishop says it's over. Unless those high courts say it. Courts of first instance that put out convictions, whether by jury or trial by judge alone, is of no moment, especially when appeals are pending and the unfortunate badly run trials sometimes breaches of constitutional rights, which include the delay, the badly inclusion of evidence tainted by tampering and all that it is. So much so that last year in a seminal case, the Privy Council had to let go some people because constitutional breach, a right to a fair trial by independent of an impartial jury, was breached. And if it's breached in England and breached in Jamaica, it's the same breach. So again, this sovereign nation can make laws that bound the entire Commonwealth, because no, it don't make a difference if you're white or if you're from another country other than Jamaica, or if you're from Barbados, which are a little bit richer than Jamaica. Absolutely not. That don't make a difference. And I will say this again. You see, the gunshots fired at a young person may very well be that the young person even shoot after the police. The response must be proportionate to the threat. So even if a man fire one shot after the police responds to load up a man with 100 shots. Sometimes when you see the videos, they said that we were when the person says, "Oh, I don't understand. I think that we were pounced upon and we responded." That response must still be proportionate, and an excessive amount of gunfire that is labeled as a shootout. Yeah, there was a situation in Saint Andrew where they went and they told the wife, to the baby mother, to come out of the room, and then they used the pillow and they shot the person. That's it. They shot the young man and then said that he was a violence contributor. That used to be the thing, but they no longer say people are violence contributors. They just murder them and say they're members in the gang. But I'm not attacking the police. I'm not disbelieving the police. I'm a trained attorney. I'm a human rights attorney. And how due process work, how the Constitution works. I'm guided by the Constitution. I'm guided by the justice system. I maintain that judges in this country, in keeping with the Constitution and the doctrine of separation of power, is the only authority that can adjudicate on and in case of jury trials, with the guidance of a judge, can adjudicate on the guilt or innocence of anybody. So I'm not saying the police are guilty of murder. I am submitting that every loss of life that is not accidental or is not natural cause is murder until proven otherwise. And I'm not going to criticize Indicom, but I do know that when Terrence Williams was the head of Indicom, it was a hard day to be a police officer. And in so much so that the criminals escaped in nearby bushes, even if you were in the town of Port Antonio where there are absolutely no bushes, or if you were in New Kingston, did make a difference. And so I'm not changing it. And I invite anybody who has legal competence to simply say, oh, what I am saying is wrong, but it is murder until proven otherwise. And R versus Clegg, the queen against Clegg, makes it absolutely clear. So it's not me, it's not my opinion. This is judicial opinion from the highest court in the land that says no. Don't think because you're a soldier or a police you get any special privileges. There's absolutely no difference whether the defendant is a private citizen or a policeman, soldier carrying out their lawful duty. Yes, and in the apprehension of people who are suspects of a crime, cloaked in the presumption of innocence and not guilty until adjudicated by the court, the response must be proportionate to any threat. So no, the Prime Minister can't say to the youths of Jamaica, save yourselves. If you don't want the police kill your ton of your yard. Other people them yard them go. And they went into Thule and they murdered people. And I'm sure when one officer says no angels died here, that's gonna go down in history, you know. It's gonna go down in history like Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. Or I don't know if it's Clint Eastwood that said dead or alive, you're coming with me. I don't know. That could have also all Robocop. I feel like Patricia who said a Sizzler sing Hello Mama Africa. But anyway, I just want people, somebody say I want to understand the R versus Clegg. Just know, as I said, the need for legal reform in cases of self-defense involving the use of excessive force resulting in death is a subject of ongoing debate and discussions within the legal community and among policymakers. The specific circumstances of outcome can vary depending on jurisdiction and individual cases, making it a complex and evolving area of law. What is not complex and certainly out of space is the fact that the person employing the force is a soldier or a police officer acting within the scope of their duty does not alter the principle that the force in self-defense that exceeds what is warranted by the circumstances, they are to be accountable for murder. So in a case where an individual employ a level of force in self-defense that exceeds what is warranted by the circumstances, then they are to be held accountable for murder. So even if you shoot at the police and then you say, why are holding for them and run off and shoot up your head back or run and say, hey boy, why you run? And then they put you for kneel down and they shoot you in the head and say, the boy did a shoot off away. So we have to take evasive action. The ghetto boy, the old dirty, nasty ghetto youth, will not come out to nothing and don't want to save himself. Yeah? That, I will say, is a significant departure because the issue is not about crime. The issue is not about reduction of murder. The issue is about murdering an ethnic group. The ethnic group is one that they have said genetically evolved by the economic conditions in a society. Murdering of poor people. This is what the actual issue is. And if you think that I'm just chatting off my mouth, just hear me out. And I apologize for being passionate and compassionate about what I believe is wrong. Every life lost in Jamaica is the possibility of the greatest son and daughter of Jamaica doing something extraordinary. A Jamaican, a son of Jamaica, was made the head of a school district, and Purple and Persons was just completely excited and proud of the fact that this young man did that. Similarly, I'm gonna just I'm walking in the vine. I hear you. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. I'm just gonna just say this and then what the and then after I do that, I just show you what I mean. So here it is. So for this year, and I don't know when I'm talking, I don't know what it is. It increases so much, but this is an All right, yeah. So you should be seeing me now. Yeah, sorry about that. Um, so here's what I was saying. Indicom, and I have 1 minute, and I'll just set the stage. We this year so far, as of the 6th of January, 14 persons were murdered, and I'm sure it's more by now. Um, I'm in Portland right now. Somebody asked me, not have Starlink anymore. Starlink kind of get watered down, since everybody in Jamaica have it. Um, so many incidents happen. One of the most thing, and I'm gonna say his name before the commercial break, is Romain Bowman, a 4-year-old. And people are saying, well, if you have gunman in your yard, and you can't, that a person wasn't convicted, so you can't just say gunman, because you need the uh, you need the actual conviction to just be going around and slandering and criticizing and just calling people whatever. But no one can say that Mr. Bowman, young Bowman, a young man, a young boy, a son of Jamaica who could have been a athlete, a dancehall artist, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a Rhodes Scholar, just 4 years old, Romain Bowman, was murdered. He's a baby. And you hear me saying young man because he never got the opportunity to be anything but a cute, little, beautiful son of Jamaica. 4 years of age, Romain Bowman. And I'm going to take the break now and I'm going to speak about it more. I'm hurt by it because no um, there can be no excuse where this is concerned. Absolutely none. Um, so again, you are watching Context Matters, and we're at the break.
It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
That make people uncomfortable.
That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
It's not Sizzler. Please give credit to God and Sizzler. Trisha, it's not Sizzler. Please give credit to God and Sizzler. It's not Sizzler. Please give credit to God and Sizzler.
Yep, so every time I hear it today, I keep, doesn't say what he's talking about. But I want to just first recognize the Honorable Dr. Andrew Onyx. It's a pleasure to see you here in Akomkom. The Honorable Minister Bobsy Graves. I'm happy to see you here protecting and representing the culture. I recognize the other ministers and Andrew. Respect for seeing you here in Akomkom. Chief Richard Curry. It's a pleasure to see you. Always it's an honor to recognize you. Greetings again, everybody in Akomkom. I want to speak about something that is burning in my soul. As a free son of Jamaica, the issue of sovereignty is something that was questioned this weekend. I woke up in the new year and I said prayers for the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Politics is nice. Politics is a time when your side don't like the other side. But the beauty of democracy is respecting its outcome, respecting the leaders. No matter how small our country is, it is important that the respect that is given to the most powerful leaders in this country is given to the leader of my country. There must not be fear, there must not be nervousness, and there is a time where the Constitution, the Constitution for the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Politics is nice. Politics is a time when your side don't like the other side. But the beauty of democracy is respecting its outcome, respecting the leaders. No matter how small our country is, it is important that the respect that is given to the most powerful leaders in this country is given to the leader of my country. There must not be fear, there must not be nervousness, and there is a time where the Constitution, the Constitution, certainly of Jamaica, one of the most powerful charters in the free world, speaks of freedom of expression. And there must not be suppression, and there must not be punishment when you are to speak out about the freedom of our brothers and sisters. If you understand anything about the significance of the 1738 Treaty, and if you are from Moortown who just left the stage 1739, you would know the importance of freedom, the importance of independence, the importance of recognizing indigenous people of Jamaica, and the importance of understanding the work that Chief Curry is doing now for Akomkom. When you look at the water machine that is behind you, the work behind the scenes to make it done. Carol, I know you are here because I did hear you. Jeff and Lila, I know you are here because I heard you as well. But the sacrifice made, the representation of humanity, the representation of human rights, that something as basic as water and its importance, one must never be thirsty while fighting for the rights of their freedom. And for the people, freedom is a word that I must say to you. When you think of what our people and our ancestors went through, so you could stand here in the rain or not, it is important for you to recognize that we are in a time when we must wake up. We must respect ourselves first so that we can appreciate the person standing beside you or sitting behind you. The life is something given to us without knowing we are to receive it. And so it must be respected in such a way that I could never not use this platform to say that the life of every Jamaican is so important that we must find ways to protect our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters. Murder in any form must not be tolerated. Systems must be put in place to ensure that you are here to enjoy life. So killings of our brothers and sisters, whether it be from criminals or from the police, is not something that can be accepted. And I am honored. Last year I stood before you as a candidate, and I am now a member of parliament. And I must say to you, what happens on the political stage is nothing like what happens in the House of Parliament. The respect and the compassion that I would have received from the Prime Minister and the other ministers is something significant for you to understand that as leaders, we are to ensure that the society mimics and want to be like us. And to do that, it would mean that the respect we show each other, we would expect that you would have the same respect for each other. The least among us is just as important as those who are dignitaries and those who are great. And so I'll just say to you that as we stop and think, the sovereignty of our country, our island, Jamaica, a small island in the Caribbean, the voice, and I'm relying on the United Nations to say that every nation is equal. And so the respect that I expect from my Prime Minister, no matter how you feel about the leaders of this country, that no nation should ever intervene in our democracy, especially after the people have spoken. It must be respected. And I just ask that you send prayers for protection of your freedom, protection of your thoughts, your actions, and your speech. In everything you do, don't take it lightly. Respect yourself and know that Jamaica is a great and powerful country, that only human rights and ensuring that each and every one of us experience it in our lifetime will mean something when we're all gone. Thank you very much.
I am sharing my speech, which I did just on Tuesday, January 6th, 288-year celebration in a compound done by Chiefs Curry. And the Maroons, well as the Maroon Council, well represented. Moortown, our Chief Sterling is away in the United Kingdom, but Moortown still, he sent his delegation, and they were present as a part of the Maroon Council to give their experience. And you know, when you have a platform to speak, you have to speak out and you know, be a voice for those who don't have a voice, or even when people are not listening. No, you know, let me just explain something. January 6th, the same day I'm speaking on the stage, heavy on my mind is the fact that all these people are murdered. Shamar Turner, 29 years old, 4-year-old Romaine Bowman, 16-year-old Desmond Dunkley, 44-year-old Corel Wint, 37-year-old Delano Leslie, 15-year-old Romaine Campbell, and 15-year-old Christopher Campbell, 23-year-old Byron McDonald, 26-year-old Teshawn Portius, 19-year-old Rashid Johnson. And so those killed in Clarendon and St. Andrew and St. Thomas remain unidentified. So there are more. And there are probably, today is the 8th, so if it was at 3 a day and it was 17 and you add the 6, about 23, that's probably dead. But listen to the age. So what argument can the JCF make in terms of a modus operandi and criminal conduct for a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 4-year-old? It's murder. And I'm saying it's murder because the law says it's murder. And the only way to remove the cloak of murder, notwithstanding the presumption of innocence, which is what they rely on now to say that we murdered persons who were not angels. So if you follow the rhetoric of the police, 4-year-old Romaine Bowman is not an angel, nor is 15-year-old Romaine Campbell. I don't know if they went on the list that said let's kill Romaines because there's 2 Romaines there. I feel some type of way about it because my whole thing about God and time is that if life is time plus chance created, you have to be in the right place at the right time. But in this day and age, you can be even in your house, not try to be in a place and in a space, and they come to you. But again, there's no excuse for murder because the Bible and its commandment says, "Thou shalt not kill." And if you love your neighbor as you love yourself, you cannot make an argument for murder. There's absolutely no escape. And I'm not name calling or blaming, but I won't victim blame either. There's one that the gentleman, he is a selector. Yeah, he is a selector. I don't know if I said his name, but he's from St. Elizabeth, and his name is Leighton Nemard. So he's not on the list that I just called. And I can tell you, he's 44 years of age, right? And he's a selector, and the reports are that he had his hand up. He put his hand up, and they still shoot. And what they said, Loxley, I see the Portia's family included, and I see the Nemard family included. And yeah, that's the thing about it. We sometimes if we check the list clearly, realize that these people may very well be your relatives. One of the greatest men that ever walked this country was James Samuel Portius. That's my grandfather. So when I say a Portius, I don't know if they're related to me. I know I'm not related to Sally Portius, but not every name. Campbell's, I don't think Romaine Campbell or Christopher Campbell is saying itch, scratch, snitch, snatch. I don't know, but it could be related to a judge or doctor, a lawyer. But many times it's murder, and I just have to raise it so people can understand that these are people with families, and yes, sometimes maybe they get it right, and sometimes they did murder a murderer. But even that murderer must be brought before the court and due process. And if it is that they are the murderer, the court must speak. The fat lady must sing, and the judgment handed down that you in fact are guilty of what they said you did, beyond a reasonable doubt. It's important that people understand this. Yes? And walking in divine, I know you're posting the GoFundMe and all that. It's just, I'm not thinking of that at this moment, because I want to speak about how it is that when a life is lost, the loss of life in Jamaica at this rate. And the Prime Minister did respond. He says, we don't want to be dead. Paraphrasing, this is not a direct quote. Because we need laborers, we need workers. So the idea of killing these young, strong people with the potential to lift up bricks and mortar and work in the trenches. Jamaica have a shortage of laborers. So we need people to do debushing and clean up the drain them, and every now and then if the pit full, go down in the pit and clean up. As I mean, what else you expect a ghetto youth to do? It's not like they're educating them. It's not like we don't want you to be free mind, free thinking, and become the best versions of yourself. So if you don't want dead, go look at work and then behave yourself. However you want to look at it. But as I said, Amnesty International in the past took away visas of the family members and members of the JCF because of extrajudicial killings. With much power and authority given by the wearing of the badge. So it is that, and I can tell you this, it's a majority of police officers in the police force, excellent citizens. Some of them have the greatest compassion. Some of them have the wherewithal. Some of them were properly trained, and some of them would never do what is happening. And so their reputation and the reputation of the JCF is being eroded by murderers, right? And somebody says, in the middle of talking about that, what's going on with the garbage situation in Portland? The Prime Minister says that central government is responsible for central government duties. It is the central government, the Ministry of Local Government, Desmond McKenzie, is responsible for the garbage. NSWA is the agency that is supposed to collect it. The question should go to government: is there garbage trucks? I can show you a video of garbage or a photo of garbage that's across Portland, but it's also in Kingston. It's also in St. Thomas. It's right across Jamaica. Yeah, so I'm aware of that. So I'm just response. Also in Ocherios, there was a order by the government to stop the cleanup crews that was supposed to clean up down in the most affected parishes from Melissa. So when somebody says that, there was a protest in St. Thomas about the bad roads. There was a protest in St. Mary about the bad roads. And taxi operators in Portland are angry that the roads are so bad, and rightfully so. They have to be angry because you have the police out there ticketing them. If them swing too much from a pothole, them say you don't drive right and them ticket you. If you drive in and you drop in a pothole and it lick out your front light and your indicator now work, they give you a ticket. So they ticket you and you can't write NW and say pay back and give me my tire and pay back for mash up my front end because me I go down in a government hole, deep hole. Yeah? So when somebody's asking me, the member of parliament, what's happening with the road, let me tell you, I don't dance on road. And the Prime Minister said to me, no member of parliament is responsible for the fixing of roads. Don't go down in a slippery slope to have persons thinking that members of parliament are responsible for the fixing of roads. It is central government. And there's a minister for that. The minister for that is Nestor Morgan, the Honorable Nestor Morgan. That's why his name is Honorable. Every road and every hole belongs to Nestor Morgan and the Prime Minister. So if the hole deep and wide is them you go talk to. And if you call me, I say I stood in Parliament and I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I cannot keep using private funds to get marl and shingle and fill up these holes. And he says, no, it's not your job. Don't go down that road. And people need to be educated that just like the order to stop giving care packages. That's the reality. But people need to be educated to understand who is responsible for the roads, who is responsible for drains. In the past, certainly before I became an MP, and I've been an MP for 3 months, at Christmas time, there was the road patching and the road work program that was suspended this year. And so people are not used to, you should see it. We had a flooding over the weekend. Yes, I said it again. Every hole in Jamaica belongs to the Minister of Works. For him hold them. There's a time when, and the Prime Minister as well, and when the most honorable Portia Simpson Miller was the Prime Minister of this country, Colonel Charles, when he was in opposition, says, stop asking me about the whole them, a Portia hold them. He said that on TV. So before people come for me, I am here to tell you, yeah, that we're talking about potholes. Get your mind out of the hole, wrong hole, and deal with the issues. But when you come on my platform to ask me what's wrong with the holes in Portland, have you seen the big deep hole them in West Portland? Or it dig out and rev out? I don't see nobody on here asking about the big deep trenches in West Portland. Have you driven through Junction? Have you come down Stony Hill Road or the hole them deep and wide? There's a fountain blowing deep and wide. Have you done that? No. So again, I'm telling you, it is government, central government. And where do I derive this authority? For what one reader, Debbie Jervis says, the big old craters. Where do I derive this authority from? Yes, I can tell you, the Prime Minister. I asked the questions and he schooled me in Parliament and says, no, young member of Parliament. Even if you have the capacity to fill deep holes, it is not your job. Leave those holes alone and let central government fill up their big holes. He said that, not me. Okay? Now, I want people to not be distracted, but I had to answer that question because people want to be distracted because they don't want to address the real issues. Even I can say that perception, not because you live in a, I know very progressive young people. You want to find progressive people, come to Portland Eastern and do this and beat me because I in a Portland, most of the visa we give away are out of Portland and get it because crime is very low in Portland. Very, very, very low. We don't deal with the umpy-scumpy behavior. And so when the young people in Portland, because the economy is dead, have to leave good Portland and go to other parishes, and police say out of Port man this and murder them, you appreciate what we have when discrimination is the basis for you to lose your life. Because 15 and 29 and 4 and 16 and 24 and 37, 23, 26, 19, even 44 is young. Somebody says, why can't a taxi driver or a citizen request reimbursement from local government or must go to court? You have to go to court. And I'm telling you, every hole you drop in, if you never want to go down in the hole, sue feet. If your car mash up because of the hole, and we have videos. So when you call me and complain about a hole or about a drain, send the video. I will put it up on the internet and I will show all of Jamaica the progressive country that we have and the amount of money spent on roads. When the rain was falling, the drains weren't working, you should see the flooding and you should see the soot and the silt that was left behind at the end of it. Yeah? And the water had to find ways for go down somewhere. And this is just the reality. Yes? So I can only say that. But again, the discrimination that is taking place. In the com, I'm happy they put it out and they said they are concerned, right? And they went on to say officers were served with notices to submit statements and or attend interviews. Now here's how this goes. We don't have a federal agency in Jamaica, and possibly legislators need to move to that because INDICOM doesn't have the teeth and the power. They haven't been given that to investigate and prosecute. They can write the reports and recommend prosecute, and that lies with the DPP. But remember, they're saying even we see and the media says allegedly, but they sensationalize, and the PR arm of the JCF, everybody is a gunman after they murder you. And if they put you on the wanted list, and they sometimes illegal stop orders on you, because only a judge should do that, so that you can be tracked down and murdered. And then said that you were confronted. Imagine being at a domino table, dropping a 6, and you get 6 in your head back, and then was told that the dominoes were bullets. I'm just hypothetical. It's a hard pill to swallow. To also accept. But I just leaving it at that to say that if it is that as a sovereign nation, one of the bases in which international intervention is possible is from genocide, ethnic cleansing. There is a unspoken reality that there is a drive to rid Jamaica of ghetto youths, young males. It's not new. In the Bible, King Herod, as Jesus born him said, just kill all of the firstborn, kill all of the males. Happened in the Bible. So it's preservations. If you're the lions in the jungle, when the cubs are born, the male cubs, the lion, if it's not his, or sometimes even when it's his, he goes and he tries to kill the male, try to kill them to ensure that they're not challenged. But we have a crime problem. Criminology will tell you Jamaica is a high crime society, and I can tell you, for it to not be a high crime society, it has to be 10 years non-stop of murders under can't remember, it's 100 per 100,000 or 10 per 100, whatever, 32, whatever. Can't remember right now. But Jamaica is a high crime society, and that's something we have to accept. And the reduction in murders don't mean that rape wasn't going on. In Portland, there's a man greasing up himself like P. Diddy and raping off the woman, and even he was murdered. And the stop and pause was, but if the self-defense by the police must be, the response must be proportionate to the threat. I don't understand how a man has a machete and end up with gunshot and dead. And when he's a rapist, so he's not a gunman, not really a machete man either. It's probably a madman, a sexual deviant, but the sentence was murder. And so, people gonna say, but you're a criminal and you're a defense attorney, so you will say this. I'm only upholding the Constitution and asking that the law be respected. And so at the end of the day, that's what that is. But that's one aspect of it, because when it comes to a compound, murders don't take place in a compound. No. So whatever is happening, and it's the same Jamaica, and they said it's one Jamaica and there's no difference. Maroons don't kill themselves. Maroons respect themselves. If you're a Maroon, something in you wake, and you're awoken when you hear a bang, the sounding of the bang, you wake up and you do the right thing. Yeah? And why am I speaking on this? Because when you are self-determined, you are the type of self-respect that comes with knowing your opulence, with knowing that there is some royal nature to your existence, and then though people are treating you ordinary, because it's not money, they can't take the greatness out of you, so they kill you. Every youth in Jamaica, give him a visa and make him go foreign. Can't turn back. I've seen window wipers of white women take them where I married them and them doing great in life and don't come back to Jamaica. And they do come back to Jamaica, people kill them. Jealousy and bad mind, if that's a thing. And so it is opportunity. So murdering the children of Jamaica because you cannot give them opportunities, because majority of the opportunities you keep for yourself, and leave the citizens impoverished and don't give them an opportunity to be the best versions of themselves. That's the conversation. And you know, I know for a fact, and then that's the workings too, because the push to make ordinary citizens and turning them into criminals. Lord Reed of the House of Lords, not the current president of the Privy Council or the House of Lords. He said that in Sweet and Parsley. We're not in the business of turning ordinary citizens into criminals. So they know that when you engage with the police, that sometimes I say families have squabble and then the nephew brings the uncle to court and the nephew is so angry and want to prosecute him uncle, which is his grandmother's favorite child. And then grandma get vexed and say, come out of my house, and that boy become homeless. Then he becomes hungry. And then police see him and say, dirty foot boy, and shoot him. All because he had a fight with his uncle and he was a complainant, and eventually he became the menace to society that people have to kill. And then no history of gunmanism, but if he dies, he had a gun. Just understand that. So in the absence of due process, going through the criminal justice system, albeit overcrowded, it's murder. If you don't want it to be called murder because you are calling it something else and said it's justified killing, a killing can only be justified if self-defense is made out. Self-defense can only be made out through adjudication by the court. And the coroner court sometimes is not the best place to do it because the investigation is botched. Spent shells disappear. The crime scene is tampered with because every time they murder the young men, they throw them in the truck back like cattle, like dead carcasses. So we can't see the position of the person to see whether they were first shot in the head back, and then the coroner is overworked. When will the coroner get to do all the autopsies, and when will the coroner's court get to the adjudication and the investigation that what took place is murder, consistent with the ruling of the House of Lords in the Queen against Keg, R.V. Keg? Still the current state of the law in this country and in the entire world. And I watched for myself the Prime Minister make reference to Chief Curry as a community leader. And if you didn't hear it in Parliament, he says how government work, central government is responsible for all your holes in the roads. Central government is responsible for fixing the problems of society, which is why the Prime Minister was in a compound, because those 261 houses is important to fix it. And the desks and chairs donated by the Minister of Education to a compound schools is important for them, and the toys by the Minister of Energy to those people in a compound. Self-determined people. And then there's local government. And after local government, he identifies what he calls community leaders. But when you're known as a community leader, then the JCF is in a position to execute you because you're an area don or put you on trial. One wonders. while the classification, so anytime somebody calls me a community leader, a time for me lift up and leave that the community there, because me know say them anything happen, I'm gonna say go to the area down, and then the current commissioner is going to send out the order that you must come and report. And when you go there and the people them say you can't take the area leader, the community leader, and then they say it was a shootout, and you sanction those shootouts, and you might end up in an anti-gang trial that is tried by judge alone, not a jury, because a jury of your peers, who oftentimes is also from the vintage ghetto reality, won't accept this reclassification. They tried it with violence contributors and that failed. It's not a term in law. And I read every law book, so you can't just get up and say anything with your non-lawyer self and coin terms like you think that you're right, in an effort to exterminate. And interference with a political reality is not something that should be accepted. And I'm saying, if we're having the conversations, there's a forum for that. A forum for that is to address the 1738 treaty, get judicial pronouncement on the same, and have it go through the court of appeal if somebody don't like the decision, and then the Privy Council. Get similar judgments across the world, like New Zealand and Australia, America, Canada, where indigenous people, their lands are returned to them. And if government wants the use of it, they have to enter into agreements. Like, for instance, no wonder the forestry department and a compound are the only two people have stamps for the forestry, the green areas of the cockpit country. Right? So that's something that's important. All right, there are just some people who just come over here and just, I don't know. Every time you come across somebody that's a product of a turned condom is unfortunate. So anyway, that's really the reality. And we deal with that. So the conversation, though, is, as I said, self-defense in the Security Council, the United Nations, is the only time a nation must intervene or defend itself against another nation. The self-defense, when Noriega was taken away, was not concluded, because by ratification, the new government ratified the actions of the then President of the United States. In this situation, we see that the vice president is now the president. So if she's not assassinated or she's not whatever, then we'll see what happens. But the international community rests uncomfortable. And then maybe Donald Trump has more information that we have, maybe whatever it is. But I think that the world at large just wants to understand at what point is a nation sovereign. And we know that there are 5 nations who have veto power. And the veto power is for America, China, Russia, France, and the United Kingdom. So they are part of the Security Council. When UN resolutions are passed, those 5 nations can veto. And so I think it's about 9 nations when they vote, and those countries have to abstain from voting for the resolutions to pass. So I want people to understand that when these things happen, it's not like the UN can sanction the United States, because they can just veto it. Same thing when Putin invaded Ukraine, or the war between Ukraine, the UN sanctioned, and he just vetoed and did what he had to do. France can do it. The United Kingdom can do it. As I said, China, Russia, United States, And so other nations don't have that power. So the effect on third world countries is that there is a big stick policy. Certainly with America, we are in their backyard, and you know, they everybody is afraid because the punishment that comes with exercising your right to freedom of expression in times like these. One wonders if your constitution has any effect. One wonders if the United Nations has any effect, because nothing can be done. But again, the speaking out is only to say that, to imagine that everything I've said on this show, no matter how you feel about the Prime Minister of Jamaica, he participated in an election and his side won. He's the government of the day. And the means to change that, which is why I only speak to say that Jamaica had the opportunity to change it and they stuck with him. And if anybody can tell you, the St. Vincent had their election and they changed their prime minister, who, if you ask me, he was a great prime minister and he did so much for that country. But they, a part of their democratic process, removed him. So the process for removing a prime minister, even if it's, and that's the thing about it, if it is that you said, somebody is saying you mean him thief it, if you're alleging that the prime minister stole the election and you feel that way, then I guess there can be invasion. There can be invasion from the United Nations. Any nation can look and say the amount of extrajudicial killings last year and now is alarming. 311 and the current 15, 16, 17 that's dead. Maybe call for intervention and they need to come and reset. Democracy is not working. Huh? I don't know. So that is it. And again, sanctions will come, economic sanctions can come, all of these things. But that the conversation there, it comes with a lot of discomfort. The idea that we're talking about is, what is democracy attributed to small nations like the Caribbean? And what is the protection when dealing with the international community? But you see, today for you, tomorrow for me, because I'm talking about sovereign, because it also means that interference in a compound in any way by government or interested parties that would influence the running of that space based on the 1738 treaty would be similar. So one wonders, I don't know. Later, Donna Thompson. So yeah, it is that kind of conversation, but it's a conversation, you know. The position that you take, is one that you're allowed to take by virtue of the Constitution. And however you feel and however you express yourself, my conversation is that no punishment must come from expressing your thoughts and your ideas and your opinions. Persons may sometimes be things that is said is it's not an offense, but it can be offensive. And wielding power to suppress and silence those who don't agree with you is not in keeping with the democracy and constitutional principles. And that's something that we have to think of. But we can't treat our brothers and our sisters with the respect in our own country. There should be no expectation that the international community will have any respect for the leaders. And we may just be the sideshow bobs, the true clowns, because you're gonna write a press release and call for compassion and equality and equity, and you show none to the citizens of the country. And remember, you know, in relation to the murder rate, in relation to crime, the people that are committing it are criminals. So the criminals conduct themselves different from those who understand, respect, and uphold the law. You cannot do what the criminals do and say that it is justified. So criminal conduct in any space must be what it is, criminal conduct. And there's no excuse or absence for those who do it. Like, for instance, politicians do corruption, but scammers are scammers, fraudulent. But politicians are corrupt and they treat it different and due process handled different. But the Constitution is for everybody. And when politicians invoke the Constitution, people are upset, but it's for them as well. So if persons want the respect and protection of the Constitution, you can't be mad because the law is for everybody. Okay? So I didn't see the message from Biggs walking in divine. But yeah, I didn't see if you were telling them to look at the GoFundMe. I didn't see. I was lost in the conversation. But so with 10 minutes left, at 6:50 p.m., I want to thank people for watching. I want people to pay attention and closely monitor issues of equality, freedom of expression, the right to life, access to education, yes, land ownership, property rights guarded by the Constitution. These are all matters that should be of public interest, and public education is important. Understanding self-defense as a complete defense to murder. It's a defense to murder, you know. Defending yourself against harm to property, life of yourself or another, protection of yourself or another. There's even anticipatory self-defense. The same self-defense I'm telling you is used in the United Nations, says that no nation should interfere with the running of a free and democratic society, the sovereignty of a nation and the right to self-determination, except where it threatens your nation. And threaten the nation is speaking about military threat. And so that's important. All right. Okay. Yes. Yes. So that is what I will just say in this situation. And for me, I am never afraid to speak up. And maybe my mantra is God on time is that it's not a part of my DNA to just let injustice reign and not speak out about it, even if it's the unpopular opinion. And as I said, majority, I can say that without any apology, of the members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force who is risking their life to protect and serve. I can tell you, some of the greatest people with ambitions that precede the JCF. A lot of them go on to turn lawyers and doctors and professionals, even in the military. And I'm just afraid that the actions of a few people are pressured to justify or take it as an opportunity to discard the lives of, I'm coining the term, an ethnic group, the ghetto Jamaican man, the poor Jamaican man, the ambitious man that dreams a lot but decides that he doesn't want to work, the man that wants to be worthless and has no duty to be a productive member of society. but it doesn't. The answer to that is not loss of life. And if there's a space for criminals, and it should be working, and this justice system means anything, then perhaps maybe I'm the wrong person to speak out. Maybe it's the judges who are to speak out to say that that I have the authority to judge and make determination and adjudicate over matters, and possibly improving investigative skills. And I mean, in this day and age, you can call people and say, turn yourself in by 5 o'clock, and them run and get lawyer and turn themselves in. And if they're accused of something, investigate. And with the SSL matter, they took 3 years to find something, and then they arrest after Christmas Day. So they didn't even interrupt the holidays. And they made sure they were out by New Year's to celebrate New Year's. So that same type of process, and it's the right process, by the way. So I'm in no way saying those people weren't treated specially, they were treated constitutionally. So all who want to hate on that must understand that it is when they're not treated consistent with the law, like which is most ordinary Jamaicans. Walking the device is 7 minutes to go and you must donate. January is the longest month, you know, they now no money. But yeah, it is what it is. Big up yourself, big up yourself, big up yourself. Michael Maximilian, big up yourself. Oh boy. Yeah. And so I just want to say, I want to thank everybody for watching. And like I said, the conversation is simply about looking at the have and the have-nots. In Jamaica, there are some very special class people, and they are the haves. And then you have the have-nots. And ironically, it appears that outside of Jamaica, even the have and the have-nots are seen as the have-nots in the international space. Yeah? So just imagine how that is. Yes. And yeah, somebody remind me to tell the public that yeah, when I use my own resources, private resources, to attempt to fix roads in a constituency, agencies complain to the Prime Minister and the minister, you know. And again, I understand and respect what the Prime Minister says. Central government is responsible, so they can do that. But in closing, as I said, we must look to what our realities are. The have-nots and the have and the have-nots are how easy it is to fall out of that by just where you are, race, class, culture. So just the term, the have and the have-nots, refers to the stark division between the wealthy, the privileged, and resource-rich. They are the haves. And the poor, disadvantaged and materially lacking in society, highlighting inequality in wealth, status, and opportunity. The phrase contrasts those with abundance, which are the haves, against those with little, the have-nots, often used to discuss social gaps or economic disparities. And the haves are people who possess significant wealth, assets, opportunities, and advantages, and the have-nots are the people who lack money, resources, security, and opportunities, often facing poverty or disadvantage. So the gap between the have and the have-nots is widening, and the film explored the lives of both the rich haves and the poor have-nots. So I'm using it to say that when you fall in the have-not class, the ethnic group of the ghetto youth, the underprivileged youth, your life don't mean nothing. And so at 6:58, I'm saying condolences to the family of 29-year-old Shamar Turner, 48-year-old Ramon Bowman, 16-year-old Kevon Martinez, 24-year-old Desmond Dunkley, 44-year-old Corel Wint, 37-year-old Delana Leslie, 15-year-old Romaine Campbell, 15-year-old Christopher Campbell, 23-year-old Byron McDonald, 26-year-old Teshawn Portius, and 19-year-old Rashad Johnson. And I said the selector as well, 44-year-old, a popular selector, Leeton Nemard, otherwise called Bigger Don. That is so important. I say their names. As the year progresses, it will rise, probably be more than 311 because there was so much last year, could not keep up. Last year it was 2 a day. We have started with 3 every day. But I'll close by saying life is something given to us without knowing where to receive it. If we respect the Constitution, we must respect the right to life. And I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. If you're on radio, Reggae Global Radio, big up to you. Our next presenter will be on at 7 o'clock. If you're on YouTube, thanks again for watching. Big things coming next week because there's in the works. We'll be on radio locally. When that happens, I'll do the advert so people can hear it. They'll be hearing me on their commute home speaking about this. And yes, satire, sarcasm, is put it in the right context. Get your education up so we can put things in context. Blessings, everybody, and see you guys next week.
It took some time to understand, yeah, just what it takes to be a man. Now it seems each day you learn something to make a better way. Like growing up ain't just a phase, it's reality. And sometimes it's hard to face the world with your head screwed on. But in time you will see it comes naturally, like the hurt and the pain. It's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. You know I heard them say life much better you live it your own way. But if you need a helping hand, just call on me, I will be your friend. And when it gets hard to face the world with your head screwed on, just tell yourself you can. And that's when you'll understand that the hurt and the pain, it's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. You can make it if you try. You gotta keep on moving on. Don't let no one stand in your way. Gotta keep on pressing on. As we pray for better days, keep it moving. Moving to the next. When they try to bring you down, we gotta take it. Take it to the next level when they come around. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. Just keep your head up, yeah. your head up, yeah. Gotta keep your head up, yeah. Cause everything's gonna be alright.
Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Keep your head up.
Cause everything's gonna be alright.
Cause everything's gonna be alright.
All right, so we that end stream.